Joining the Pledge of Allegiance. Member Rutledge, would you please lead the pledge? And I'll ask everyone to remain standing for the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before I call Father Clive Otieno to begin our invocation today, I'd like to remember that this is National Suicide Prevention Week. Let's take a moment of silence to remember those lives who have been lost or impacted by suicide. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Father Clive Otieno from St. Irene's Catholic Church in Warrenville to lead us in the invocation.
Thank you and good morning. And again, thank you so much for inviting me to give a word of reflection and also the invocation. And today I would like to share with you a reflection, and it's a quote from Robert Frost. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled. And that has made all the difference. From a beginning to this very moment, we all make choices. We have no alternative. Even when we make no decisions, we choose because there is a result. Choices are pointers to the future. They determine direction. As Robert Frost writes, I took one less traveled by. So every path we choose leads us in a unique way to the next point of choosing. Choices can be threatening if we feel our role to be the victim. But choices can be exhilarating if we see every choice leading us back to our source. If we see the universe as benevolent, then every choice leads us back to God and the full experiencing of our higher potentials. Let us experience and express the dynamic opportunities offered to us in making wise choices. And now aware that we are all from diverse faiths, traditions, and also non-faith, I invite you to pray with me as I pray in my tradition. We pray for all gathered here, and especially the members of our DuPage County Board. We pray that God will grant them wisdom and knowledge to lead amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. That God will grant them clarity of mind and a sense of the welfare and true needs of our county. We pray for them for a keen thirst for justice and rightness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work impartially towards all, even when there is honest disagreement, compassion for the individuals whose lives their decisions will affect and the impact that such decisions may have, and also for personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. Let us pray. Almighty and loving God, we thank you for this day as every day, and especially for the talents you have given us and the opportunity to use them in serving others. As we plan and share together now in this board, be with us in our discussions and guide our decisions so we always do what is right and just and serve worthily those who rely on us to focus the vision, set the agenda, and ensure the viability of our county. May our service bring you glory, you who are our loving God and merciful Lord, now and forever. Amen. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Clerk, please call the roll.
Cahill. Here. Chaplin.
Here.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Dessart. Here. Eckhoff. Here. Evans.
Here.
Galassi.
Here.
Garcia. Here. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori? You? And Zay.
Okay, I would like to invite Fernando Ramirez to the podium. Okay, this month we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and today we are joined by our special guest, Fernando Ramirez of the Mexican Cultural Center of DuPage, located in West Chicago. As part of the month-long celebration of Hispanic heritage, the city of West Chicago will also host its Mexican Independence Day celebration Saturday and Sunday, September 16th and 17th. Let's read through the proclamation, and I'll let you tell us more. Okay. Whereas, during National Hispanic Heritage Month, we appreciate the history, heritage, and contributions of ancestors of American citizens who came from Mexico, Spain, the Caribbean, and South and Central America. And whereas, we are especially grateful for the 1.2 million Latino and Hispanic American men and women who have answered the call to serve in our country's armed forces, demonstrating remarkable loyalty, bravery, and dedication to duty. And whereas the generations Hispanic Americans have played a pivotal role in our country's strength and prosperity, and their spirit, energy, and leadership are woven into the culture of America and enrich all our lives. And whereas in DuPage County, the number of Hispanic Latino residents continues to grow and has increased to 15% of the population according to the 2020 census data. And whereas DuPage County joins with community organizations celebrating National Hispanic Heritage Month, including the Mexican Cultural Center of DuPage, which promotes cultural, ethnic, and civic activities designed to inspire the community, and who, on September 16th and 17th, will host the Mexican Independence Day celebration in West Chicago. And whereas, to honor the achievements of Hispanic Americans throughout the United States, Congress authorized a national proclamation designating September 15th through October 15th as National Hispanic Heritage Month. Now, therefore, it be it resolved that I, Deborah A. Conroy, Chair of the DuPage County Board, and members of the County Board do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2023 as Hispanic Heritage Month in DuPage County and encourage our residents to better understand, recognize, and appreciate the rich history and culture of Latino and Hispanic Americans. Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Approved this 12th day of September 2023 in Wheaton, Illinois.
Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity and to get this proclamation. It's an honor. I'm from West Chicago, as we were saying, and in West Chicago we are predominantly now it's 51% our community is Latino, predominantly from Mexicano. And so we have always felt the responsibility to help shape our city and build traditions that actually reflect our community. But we also know that we have that responsibility to the other 49% that make up our neighbors, that our fellow residents, people that complete our lives. So we always try to put together events and projects that we know that the whole community can participate and feel like they are included in this wonderful celebration. Mexican Independence Day celebration is something that is for the whole community that we wish to invite everybody to come out. We at the end of our, so don't wait till the end, but at the end of our celebration, we wish where we lift up a 13-foot burro piñata. It's a good way to celebrate Mexico's birthday, and it's something that anybody can understand and wonderful to come out. But obviously, I don't have to convince you guys about our Mexican food and everything, the spirits and everything. So that's just a classic. Anything in the right places for sure, in our restaurants, please. So anyways, but thank you so much. I really hope to see you guys out there. And I just really quickly want to thank my board members that are in there. Miriam with the DCVB, sorry, and Omar Spinoza with Republic Bank, who have been our supporters to this event. And so I asked them to be here because they're as much part of this as I am. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to invite Colette Holt to the podium. Today we are fortunate to be joined by Colette Holt, an attorney and national expert in her field. After graduating Yale University, Colette received her JD from the University of Chicago Law School. She has served in many leadership capacities during her extensive career. Colette Holt currently represents public agencies and private firms and is a renowned expert on issues related to civil rights and public contracting. She has board experience in conducting defensible disparity studies, consulting on expert witness testimony, drafting legislation and policies, and designing and defending various DBE programs. The county contracted with Colette to conduct a diversity study, a step that is legally necessary before the county can create a contracting program with goals. Ms. Holt and her team have been gathering evidence and statistics over the past several months, and she joins us now with her report. Colette, thank you for joining us and for lending us your expertise.
Not to debate and switch, but I'm going to actually start here, and then I will send it over to Colette. So next slide, please. So I know a number of the board members have been with us through the whole process, but I think a number of board members are maybe new to the process, and we wanted to give you just a quick slide or two to let you know how we got here, and then I promise to turn it over to Colette at that point to go through the disparity study. So everything started with what we're doing today back in 2019 when the board at that time decided that they added a sixth strategic initiative and imperative for diversity and inclusion in our strategic plan. And so at that point, then we started moving forward. And so I want to go kind of walk through how we got to this point and the steps we've taken so far. So once the board in 2019 made that change, the first thing we did was a preliminary study. And what we did is we wanted to see where are we at right now, what do we need to do, and where do we go? And that was completed. At the conclusion of that, then the ad hoc committee on diversity and inclusion was formulated to further that goal. So the first thing is preliminary study, then we went forward with the ad hoc committee, and their focus was the same as shown in the strategic initiative, with an eye toward the construction and construction-related expenses in transportation, public works, stormwater, and facilities, and to recommend policy actions moving forward. That ad hoc committee completed their work, and next slide. Following that, we really hit the ground running, and you can see what we've done. So in order to be ready for the diversity study, we've done a number of things. And the vendor outreach, we partnered with DuPage on some vendor outreach with that. We hosted our first ever vendor fair for DBEs interested in contracting, more of a meet and greet, how-to type deal, and I'm happy to say we had over 100 participants in that vendor fair that came down to our auditorium, learned more about the county, and it has been very successful since then. They've been submitting. We have concurrently with that, we have collected a tremendous amount of data on those construction and construction-related contracts I talked about before, which was the basis for what you're going to hear today. We implemented a new tracking software within the county, B2G Now. That made it possible to get this data as well as future data in order to make sure we're doing it accurately and correctly. We've updated, there's been some state law changes. We've updated some of our contracting forms out there to implement these type of items that the state has required, and in order to track this information more closely. And I'm very happy to say that we have now, many, many months of hard work, the disparity study has been completed. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Holt to give an update to the board.
Well, good morning to everyone, to the chair and the board members and the public. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I have what I promise is a relatively mercifully brief PowerPoint about the disparity study. My understanding is you've all been provided with a copy of it. It's rather thick going there, but there is an executive summary, so certainly you might take a look at that. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I think I might be able to see that. We brought the laptop just in case I couldn't, but I think I can. I want to start, though, by thanking the county staff. A disparity study is a very large undertaking for an agency, especially one that was in the process also of implementing B2G Now, the gold standard software for these programs, and really having to go and take a look at everything. So I personally want to thank Valerie, who was our study manager, and Nick and Barb, and everyone was really quite wonderful. You know, you have some clients when the phone rings and you're like, ugh. And then you have some clients and you go, oh, it's Valerie calling, right? So she was just terrific. I can't thank them all enough for how cooperative they were and how great they were to work with. I'd be remiss if I also didn't mention our wonderful local sub-consultant, Sandy Yano. She wasn't able to join us today, but Sandy has been working with us on all of our Illinois and Chicago projects, and we've done lots of them. I now live in Texas because I married a Texas boy 4 years ago. But I'm from Chicago. This is home. I lived here my entire life until then. And so it's wonderful to be back. Also would be remiss if I didn't say it was great to get a chance to work again with my old friend Greg Bedeloff, who was at the Tollway when I was last doing the Tollway study and working with them. So you have a fantastic team, and that's probably the most important thing. Disparity studies are just a piece of research. They're not self-executing. They don't really do anything. What they can provide is the basis for someone to do something. But the most important thing is commitment from leadership, from you, from the top, and a desire to get something done. And I am really quite confident that DuPage County really wants to get something done. So with that, let me tell you what we found. I do want to start with just a few brief comments about what the legal standards are, because disparity studies ultimately are designed to meet the federal constitutional requirements that you have to meet in order to have a race and gender conscious public contracting program. So in many ways, our audience is a federal judge. But we also try to write the studies in reasonably plain English. Just know that a disparity study is the offspring of a lawyer and an economist, so that might be kind of a bad start. But we really do have to make sure that people understand it. So the courts look upon these programs with a great degree of scrutiny. They apply what's called strict constitutional scrutiny. It's the highest level of review that a judge can apply. And so unlike most cases when an agency gets challenged, you have the burden of going forward with affirmative evidence that supports your determination that you have a strong basis in evidence to, in fact, apply race and gender conscious relief. So that's the first element, that you have to have a compelling interest in using the highly disfavored tool of race-based decision-making. The second prong is that you have to ensure that your program is narrowly tailored. That's a magic word phrase, you'll hear that a lot. Narrowly tailored to the evidence upon which you rely. It means you can't make up goals, you can't just willy-nilly decide who's in the program, that there's some very clear boundaries within which you have to operate. Next slide, please. So we had 3 objectives for your study. And again, I do want to stress the study is construction and construction-related services only. So no goods and services, no furniture or IT or anything. We thought, I think, a good decision to start there. That's usually the majority of an agency spending, and it's a place you can usually make the most immediate progress. So we wanted to provide the type of qualitative and quantitative data that the federal courts require to support your program, should you decide to adopt one. We also wanted to present recommendations based on that evidence. I've been involved with these programs for literally over 30 years now. It started back in 1989 when I was an assistant corporation counsel for the city of Chicago. and there was I gather there are quite a few lawyers on the board when the Croson case came down. And so our recommendations really are informed by what are now decades of experience working with hundreds of governments across the country. And then finally, we wanted to use the study as a tool to educate policymakers and the public to build consensus for you in whatever way you decide to move forward. So we had 4 quantitative data sources. We looked at your contract records, your vendor records, including prime and subcontract payments. And I do stress subcontract payments because often an agency will know, let us hope, who you paid, but often have not been gathering information about the subcontractors, and that was what took so much time and cost you so much money, was to go back and put that all in place. You now have the B2G system. Certainly urge you to fully implement that and collect this data as you go along so that you don't have to do that next time. We also looked at the DBE and MWBE type. Oh, and let me stop with the acronyms for a second. You know, if you talk about this all day, every day for 30 years, you kind of forget. Other people don't know what you're talking about. So DBE is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Mostly people think of it as the program for U.S. Department of Transportation funded contracts. So IDOT, for example, or the Chicago Department of Transportation. DuPage gets money that's flow down from IDOT, and those contracts are covered by your existing DBE program. We included those dollars, but you don't get to run your own program on those. MBE means Minority Business Enterprise, and WBE means Women Business Enterprises. And then there's more. There's HUD, there's HUB, there's 8A. I mean, there's a ton of them. But those are the ones that are probably most pertinent to your study. And then finally, for our overall business universe, because one of the things that we have to figure out is what's the total availability of firms to provide the goods and services that you purchase. And we went to Hoover's, which is what Dun & Bradstreet is now called, as the most comprehensive source of business information that's out there. And they do really pick up pretty much everybody. One comment I sometimes get is, well, you know, Dun & Bradstreet doesn't pick up small firms. Well, that's actually not true. You have to be really, really tiny to not show up in D&B, because the way they make money is by finding everybody. So they have a big incentive to do that. If you have an FEIN number, if you ever applied for a bank loan, if you have a business license, you're in Dun & Bradstreet. So we think that this is a very comprehensive source of information. Next slide, please. So here are the elements to your study. Frankly, this just follows along with the table of contents. So you'll see that in the study. Next slide, please. So here's what we found. We analyzed data from fiscal year 2017 to 2017 through 2021. So that's a good corpus of data. You want to be sure that you try to pick up a significant number of years so that you kind of smooth out the bumps and lumps. You know, maybe you had a big project, you built another courthouse or something, and you want to be sure that you can say to a court that, Your Honor, that we really did take a broad and deep look at the agency's contract data. You see we had 166 prime contracts, and you see there the total is, and then 318 subcontracts for a total value of about $131 million that we analyzed. The federal courts require that you limit your local program, and that's state, city, it's everybody but the federal government, to both your product market and your geographic market. So although the county buys a lot of things, for the purpose of this study, we looked at the 46 codes that made up the construction and construction-related services dollars that you spent. You can see what the tables are in the study for that. Happy to answer questions as we go or at the end, about any of this. The other thing is that the courts require that you limit the reach of your program to your own geographic market. For those of you who are lawyers and may remember back in Con Law 1, one of the things that the courts are very exercised about is local agencies extending the reach of their affirmative action programs beyond their own marketplace. In the old Croson case, that's one thing that got Justice Sandra Day O'Connor very exercised was the fact that the city of Richmond, Virginia was including firms anywhere in the country in its program. So we took a look at where the majority of your dollars are spent. And it does turn out to be the 6-county metropolitan area. But that's an empirical question. So we don't start with the assumption that that's correct. We had to go out and count, but in this case, it was really quite clear what your market was. Next slide, please. So that's all the data we looked at. That's the structure we used. And so we had to determine what was your utilization of minority and women-owned firms as a percentage of the total dollars that you spent. So know that these are dollar percentages, not percentage of numbers of contracts. We long ago decided that dollars were a better measure than the number of contracts, because it may turn out that maybe minorities and women got lots and lots of contracts, but they were little itty-bitty contracts. And so a better picture, at least certainly from an economist standpoint, is what the dollar distribution was. So you see there that minority and women-owned firms got about a little under 11% of your dollars total. And you see they're broken out. When we say women there, we really do mean white women. I had this conversation with the board in Miami last week. Minority women, you got to put us somewhere. And you can't split us and you can't double count us. So the accepted convention is that minority women, women of color, are grouped into the minority category. So just know that when you see the tables that that's what that means. And then you see, of course, the balance went to non-MWBEs. Do note, we do not say white men. The reason for that is because there are many firms that don't really have any race or gender ownership. What sense does it make to talk about, like Microsoft is, white male owned? That doesn't make sense. So these MWDBEs includes publicly held companies as well as employee-owned firms, which also don't have any race or gender ownership. Next slide, please. So that was a utilization. That's who, in fact, the county used prime and subcontractors and consultants. So our next step was to figure out who was actually available to do that work. So we have two types of availability. And again, if people have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. First thing we have to figure out is the unweighted availability. And that's just a straight head count. Who's out there? Just go count them. And we do that by limiting that to the geographic market, that's those 6 counties, and the 46 NAICS codes, North American Industry Classification System codes. Those are industry categories that the Census Bureau uses to categorize masonry or concrete or heavy utility contracting, that kind of thing. And so for our unweighted availability, our head count, we used the certification lists that were available that had released reliable information in them. We used your contract and vendor records, and then again we went back to Hoover's. Weighted availability takes that unweighted head count and distributes it according to where you spent your dollars. So it's weighted by your spending patterns, and your spending patterns are those sub-industry codes. So a kind of silly example, but I think it can make the point, is presumably on a construction site, somebody brought water. It's hot out there. Come to South Texas, you people have no idea how hot it really can be. So you buy water, but as a percentage of the spend, it's noise. But if I count the people who sell water at the same weight I count the people who sell concrete, I'm going to get some very, very odd results. So that's why we weight the spending patterns to the availability to reflect your spending patterns so that you get a more accurate idea of who's out there. So one thing that you will see in the study is there'll be unweighted availability tables, and then there's a weighted availability table. And they're very different because kind of the good news is it turns out that there are a lot of available minority and women firms in the codes where you spend a lot of money. So that's a good thing. Next slide, please. So here's your weighted availability. So you can see there, it's about 26%, which is in line with what we found pretty much throughout the entire Chicago area, metro area. City of Chicago, Cook County was about this. though the Cook County study included everything, so all types of goods and services, so not just construction, so just know that. Pretty close to what we found for the tollway. We are in the process of finishing Illinois Department of Transportation study, probably going to be about that number. So I feel pretty confident that this is right. We also decided, once we did that, to do what we call a concentration analysis. What we wanted to see was, okay, here's what the availability was, here's what the utilization was, but how is that distributed in terms of where you spend your money? And one thing that we did find is that minority and women firms are highly concentrated in your 3 largest spending codes. And that has some implications for what you may want to do with program administration going forward, in terms of trying to broaden the types of work that minority and women firms are able to get from the county. Next slide, please. So, final step in the disparity analysis is to do disparity testing. We have some, we've dropped them because they scare people, but we can write you out an equation with sigma signs and everything. And for those who like math, they go, oh, great, which is not most people. So I've stopped putting them in there because they just trip people up. It's a really simple concept, though, and it's how tight is the fit between who was available and who was used. To the extent that there's a big gap there or a disparity, the courts have held that that is the type of evidence upon which you can rely in order to have some type of race-conscious program. So you see there's the little equation, disparity ratio equals utilization over weighted availability. Pretty simple stuff. A ratio of 100% means parity. That means people got work in the proportion in which they were available. The fact that you may have some ratios over 100, however, does not mean that discrimination doesn't operate in your market, and you're going to see in a minute why I say that. So we did 2 types of testing on these results. The first is whether or not the results are substantively significant. And the courts have held that that's a ratio 80% or under, suggests a prima facie case of possible discrimination in your market area. This comes out of an old line of EEOC cases, for those of you that may do any kind of employment work, that says, well, if you get these low ratios, something seems to be afoot. The other type of testing is probably more familiar to you, which is statistical significance testing. So think back to intro statistics. And this just asks, how likely are the results to be from chance? Study that goes into statistical significance in a lot more detail, which may be more than some people want, but you might find it useful. The greater the significance, the smaller the possibility is that the result is from chance alone. And so, next slide, please. Oh dear, I can't see that. I don't know if you can either. But here are disparity ratios, and they are in table 2-17. Most of them are substantively significant. Most of them are statistically significant. The only one that really doesn't fit that pattern is Native Americans. And the reason we think that we get that result is because our observations are so small for this group. There are just so few Native American firms in the Chicago area, in Illinois, period. When we do a lot of work on the West Coast, especially in Washington State, where they have very large reservations. And there we have enough numbers to say something, I think, that is sensible, really. So I would not take this disparity ratio to say that it's all good for like the 3 Native American-owned firms that are out there. And I don't think it really undermines your ability to move forward on your program. So I don't know if you all can see that. And we do have it in the study as well. All right, next slide, please. So that's all of our data for your study. We do have an appendix that collects all of the anecdotal data that we've collected for all of the other Illinois studies. We just thought it didn't make sense to do that again for you. It adds a lot of cost to the study because it's so labor intensive. Oh yes, I'm sorry, yes ma'am.
I was
Member
waiting till
Dessert.
the end and I'll have, okay, thank you. So I know you said this is just a study and it's our staff's job to interpret or implement the study, but I do have a question for you. You said that, so DuPage County uses 10.7% DMWBs and none are 89.3%. So here's the query. How do we reconcile the desire to hire these firms for county work with the ways in which our hands are tied with things like lowest responsible bidder, sole source, et cetera? How do we reconcile those two, our desire versus what we can do? Thank you.
Sure. Everybody lives in a low bid environment. I mean, there's really nothing particularly special about DuPage County that way. We'll put sole source contracts off to the side for a second because that's a choice that you make about whether you want to go that route. But the usual way that we try to address these disparities is by adopting narrowly tailored goals for each individual contract. So there's a formula for this. If you apply weighting to the scopes, I mean, I can go into more detail about that if you like. There's also a website that we put together. It's free because people were always calling me about how to do this. And I decided, well, why don't I just put it out there somewhere so they can go look. We reference it in the study. It's contractgoalsetting.com, all one word. And it will take you through exhaustively steps about how to set a contract goal correctly. But it needs to be tailored to the scopes of work of the project. But it's a goal. It's not a quota. It's not a set-aside. People should banish set-aside from their vocabulary. And so you say to your bidders, in a low-bid situation, we would expect that you would get, I don't know, pick some number, 20% utilization on this contract. And we want you to make good faith efforts to do so. If you can establish to our satisfaction, by our, I mean you really, satisfaction, that you have done everything you can to meet this goal, but you fell short, fine. You're still a responsive and responsible bidder. So that's how you start to move the needle. What we see is that contracts that have no goals, which has been DuPage County, don't get much participation. Once you start asking people to do this and make it clear this is a value, you will see change. And I point to my old friends at the Tollway as an example. The Tollway had no program until I wrote the very first one around 2001 or so, give or take. But the minute they started setting goals, they started getting participation, and now they have reached parity on their contracts. So, you know, I started out life as a construction lawyer, and people will do what you tell them to do because they want your work. Now, we're not telling anyone to hire someone who's not qualified or who can't do the work. That's a fallacy. If people can't do the work and you can prove that, then you are awarded the contract even if you don't meet the goal. But they have to make a good faith effort to try. And given the fact that all the other agencies in this area and the state of Illinois are doing really well, they all set goals. That suggests to me that if the county starts setting goals on contracts, where appropriate, that you'll see change. One last thing to stress is that 26% availability is just overall. You will see contracts come through that have very different numbers than that. I just want everyone to be clear when you see that 26% is not a standard goal. You don't put it in every contract. You have to do this on a contract-by-contract basis, which is time-consuming and labor-intensive. But I just think you really you don't have a chance in federal court if you don't just keep slap the same goal and everything. Did that kind of get to what you were talking
Excellent answer, yes, thank you so much.
about? Okay.
Okay, Member Kajewski.
Yes, thanks. When you did your MB, DB, and WB percentages, was that based on the ones that submitted that were certified, or is that based on the ones that are out there potentially that could do it?
It's based on the ones that are out there. The case law in the Seventh Circuit is to cast a broad
That's
net.
fine. I was just curious on the
Yeah,
number.
no, it isn't just certified
So
firms.
it's the ones that, it's not the ones certified. This is everybody that's out there that potentially could be certified and do that work.
Correct.
And then second, did you look at potentially for doing veteran-owned or veteran disabled-owned firms as part of it, or is it just MB, DB, and WB?
We didn't include veterans and disabled-owned firms in this study. And
That's
you know,
all I did. That's
well,
all
no, but I think there's a little bit further answer to that may be useful, which is veteran status and disability are not considered to be protected classifications for 14th Amendment analysis. So you don't need a disparity study for that.
Okay.
And
We
so
can
I'd
just
say
put it
don't
in-
waste the money.
We could just put it in as a goal.
You can. Now, just a couple of observations from the other agencies that have done that. Nobody seems to meet the veteran-owned goal, mostly because we just kind of make it up. I mean, people say 3%, who knows if that's right. So, I don't want to set the staff up to fail here.
And then the last question, more to pick up on Member Dessart's question, when we do, it's not necessarily low price, because a lot of these we do scoring. So we do a scoring based on resume, qualifications, also pricing. So can one aspect of the scoring, whether it's 30%, being try to achieve the goal? So if the goal is 20% MBE with 5% DBE, then if you're close to that goal or you hit that goal, you can get the top points in that category, 30 out of the 100.
Well, actually, the way to set it up is as kind of a gatekeeper, as a yes or no. The course won't let you reward people for getting more participation. So the way to set it up is on these, negotiated procurements, consulting, engineering, whatever, is did you meet the goal or make a good faith effort to do so? If the answer is yes, you move on. If the answer is no, you don't. So it's a yes or no, like a
yes
gate.
or no, but you can't use part of the scoring
Right.
in your overall scoring. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, Member Uckoff.
Thank you. I'm looking at your table 2-17, and when I went through this the other day, I don't understand it. Is the disparity ratio the amount that we're off by?
The disparity ratio is the difference between who was utilized and who was available. Now, one thing in that, because that's, I think, the table that runs across like this, you don't add those up. People sometimes go, well, that doesn't add up to 100. No, because they're each independent questions. What's the disparity ratio for black firms? What was their utilization in comparison to their availability?
Right. So it says 8.5, so we're off by 8.5, which have hired.
No, you're off by 92.
Oh, that's bad. So the worst, okay, so the others are better, because I know that Choose DuPage and Nick Kappmeyer, we've talked about these before, so I'm surprised that it's off by that much. So the goal would be, is there a number then of firms that have to be hired to get it to the 100%? Do you have those figures?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the difference. I mean, we have the absolute numbers of firms in the study. Always want to stress nobody has to be hired, that these are goals programs, they're not quotas, they're not set-asides. So on a particular contract, perhaps, and you'll have to make a decision yourselves about whether or not you want a single goal for minorities and women together, like a DBE goal, or you want separate goals, or there are different ways to set that up. But let's, for purposes of simplicity, say you're going to have a single goal. And that goal on the contract's 20%. We're going to expect that bidders are going to meet a 20% goal or make a good faith effort to do so. But it is going to vary contract by contract. These numbers represent the gap between who was available and who was used. They don't tell me what the availability is for any particular contract. So this is a way to get you to the point where you can make a legal argument that you can have a program, but it doesn't tell you anything about what your actual goals are going to be.
Okay, so we could set the goals on our own. And then earlier in the presentation, you had a legal section regarding what court back in 1989 set up. Does the Supreme Court's decision this summer regarding the universities, Harvard and North Carolina, does that impact on that 89 decision at all?
Well, I've been talking about nothing else since June 28th, I think. Not so far. And actually, in the Students for Fair Admission versus Harvard and UNC case, the court does reaffirm the Croson standard of strict constitutional scrutiny and say that they applied it to both of those universities' programs. So far, there's been no real change in the structure that governs contracting programs. Because of course, remember the decision was designed to look at university admissions programs, which are actually very different. You know, they're not sort of data-driven quite like this. So far, it hasn't, but
Does that just mean somebody hasn't filed a lawsuit based on this as opposed to the college admission?
well, there have been some cases filed against private firms. There's a case, actually, kind of interesting, I think, that was filed against Target, you know, the big red circle Target people, under the 1934 Securities Exchange Act, saying that their Pride Week merchandise and theme had led to a boycott, which led the stock to go down, which was a breach of the board and the CEO's fiduciary duty. Well, we'll see about that. I'm no securities lawyer. It's been 40 years since I took securities, so I'm not going to opine on that one. But I do frankly expect that there'll be more litigation. I think so.
All right, thank you.
Member Galassi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I appreciated the information. The question I have is, weighted availability, is that different than who's applying to win the contract?
Oh, yeah, because availability doesn't talk about who actually got the contract. That just tells me who's out there who potentially could have been a bidder or a subcontractor to the county.
So would it help improve our disparity percentages if we had a better outreach program to reach these available firms that may not be applying?
Absolutely. Outreach is a critical component of your program. And I know Choose DuPage has done some of that, as was mentioned. You know, you've had some vendor fairs. One of the things that I'm certainly going to we certainly recommended in the study is that you need an outreach and communication strategy, because people will need to know you have a new program, because they're not don't take this wrong, but I'm not sure they're thinking about you. So they have to know that you're open for business, that you have this new program. So that's a very important part. It's also important to have some technical assistance, how to do business with DuPage. Every government agency is different. They all have different invoicing, they have different schedules, and so people may need a little bit of hand-holding, you know, about how to get through your process as opposed to, say, I don't know, the tollway or something.
Was it part of the study to evaluate what percentage of the weighted available firms were actually applying? Was that part of the study?
No, we didn't look at bidder data.
Okay.
Frankly, when you have disparity ratios this low, bidder data just seems like piling on. And one of the things that was decided was, because was not to do the interviews with firms. It just adds so much cost, and I expected people would tell me the same things they tell me everywhere, so nothing different. But certainly, you know, getting involved with groups like HISCIA, the Hispanic American Contracting Group, Black Contractors, Federation of Women Contractors, those groups know how to reach their members. But it's time consuming. Somebody's gonna have to go to those meetings and, you know, make sure that they know to come to you, and so you need a whole outreach strategy. I'm happy to work with you all to tell you how to do it. We don't do that, to be really clear. But there's some very, very good consultants in this area that I think could help you.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to get a handle on what portion of the disparity is because of lack of outreach and therefore the firms are not applying versus firms are applying and they're not being rewarded the contract. So,
Well, now that you have B2G, you can track that.
Okay.
That was the thing. I mean, think about everything was pretty much in essentially paper records. They might be PDFs, but from our standpoint, it's just a picture of a piece of paper. So now you have the ability to see where those gaps are. And that's why I was so excited. We did that preliminary study, and I said, go get your system if you don't do anything else. But you have it now, so that's great.
So that is information that we can track going forward?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, thank you, Colette. Thank you for this wonderful work.
Well, I've got we
Okay.
got a couple more slides.
All right.
That's okay. I mean, I'm always happy to sit down. It's like the court says, thank you, counselor, and you go, thank you, Your Honor, and you sit down. And actually, some of the questions have already picked up on that. We're just talking about the contract data collection. I think you need some kind of office to be in charge of this. You just can't dump it on procurement or dump it on Chris or somebody. I think you need a dedicated office where people can go and that you can hold accountable for results. I don't really care what you call it, Office of Business Opportunity, whatever. There are lots of names, but I think you really are going to need that. Increasing outreach and communication, clearly important. Think about barriers to firms getting work as prime contractors. People sometimes describe these programs as subcontracting programs. That is not accurate because they cover all the contract's dollars, not just the subcontractable portion. And one of the things I wish we had done a better job long time ago was starting to focus on prime contract awards. So these are things like, what are your qualification requirements? Insurance. Those kinds of things that keep small firms of whatever variety from doing your work and reduces your competition. One of the things that you'll be able to see from B2G is how many firms are getting your work. And many agencies will discover when they look that it's really a pretty small number of firms that you deal with. It's people that are already in, and so they know the drill, but that means you're not getting the most competitive proposals and pricing. You just can't. I mean, that's basic econ. So I think really doing something about the prime contracts would be important. Suggesting that rather than reinvent your own programs, that you partner with some of the other local agencies that are doing a great job. But, I mean, I keep talking about the toy. It's not just because I like Greg so much, but the toy is really doing some very, very good work there. They've got extensive supportive services programs. They have mentoring. They have a bonding support program. They're very open to having other partners, and rather than reinvent your own, I really would say save that money and work with them. You're gonna have to pay something for this. They're not gonna just give it to you. But it's more efficient and less costly than starting your own. Next slide, please. And then now turning to what I think is the recommendation that may be the most important to you, and that is we think you have plenty of evidence to adopt some type of disadvantaged or minority and women-owned business program. Your disparity ratios are low, and I think that certainly you'd be able to make a lot of improvements. I'd suggest consider, you don't have to, but consider setting some type of overall annual target that hopefully all your contracting rolls up to. Again, it's not the goal you put in every contract, but it is one approach. You can also not do that and just run it on a contract-by-contract basis. You do have to set narrowly tailored goals on specific solicitations. We've talked about that. I really strongly urge DuPage County not to do your own certifications. It's so expensive and burdensome to run a good certification program, and it makes the MWDBEs crazy because they have to run from agency to agency, and is this certification up, and what about this, and what about that? The city of Chicago does certification, Cook County does it, the TOY relies on those, and the DBE certifications, and I would urge you to do the same and not do your own certifications because you're going to need 5, 6, 7 people right out of the box if you go that route. And I just don't know why you would do it. But you do have to ensure that the certifications that you take are narrowly tailored, and this is important, which is why some of the private sector certifications, like the Minority Business Supplier Development Council, Women's Business Development Center, they're great groups. They do a lot of great work, but they don't apply the same criteria that the courts impose in order to be certified. You will need to adopt policies and procedures and forms to implement your program. And that is a big undertaking because right now you don't have them. I mean, now the good news is we have a million, examples and whatnot, and I've worked with lots of agencies in the wake of the study to do this. But I just want the board members to have a realistic set of expectations about this, that you won't have a program by November 1st, and that won't happen. You have to put all these things in place in order to run a good program. Once you get there, not immediately, down the road, think about implementing a pilot mentor protege program. Those can be things that really help these small firms to grow their skills and capacities. You will need to train everybody at the county that has anything to do with contracting about this program. It will be new to them, and they will have a lot of questions. And then you're going to need to train your vendors. Now, there'll be a lot of folks that do work with you, that do work with everybody else, and they know the drill. But you may be a little different in how you do things, and there may be other entrants into the marketplace. Next slide, please. Measure outcomes. This is where a lot of agencies fall down, is they just run the programs and they don't ever ask any real questions about it. So you want to know, for example, going back to your point there about who's bidding, who's submitting proposals. You want to know that. How well are different groups doing? Do you see gaps anywhere? All that type of information is really important. Are you getting a lot of requests for good faith efforts? If so, that may suggest that you're setting your goals too high. On the other hand, if everybody comes in with a slam dunk all the time, maybe we could have stretched a little bit. So you're going to want to look at things like that. And then finally, you do want to have some performance measures. Obviously, if you're going to have an annual goal, you want to look at that. But are you getting more firms certified as primes? Are they getting work? Are they getting a wider variety of work? Or are they also over-concentrated in certain areas? Making sure that you're getting new entrants into your program. Next slide, please. I think that is, no, I have to have one more. Okay, now this is a legal requirement, so I like to end with that. The courts are very concerned that these programs may go on longer than they are necessary. So you do have to review your data every 5 or 6 years. There's no rule. The study doesn't expire. It's not like a driver's license or something. But you do want to be sure that you are regularly looking at your results. And you do want to make sure that your race and gender-based barriers are being reduced over time. So that's the end of me, and I think Nick, good, just one? They're like, oh, thank God, just one.
Just one. So obviously you can see there's been a lot of work accomplished on this up to this point, but there's a lot more work to be done. And setting up the program, we've got the framework lined out, and now the next steps are obviously working with the chair, figuring out the framework, and that's going to be what's going to happen. Now, just to temper everybody's expectations, and I had mine tempered too, this is not going to be, hey, we're in place, we're up and running, end of 2023. This is multiple years we're talking about here. And, it's going to take a lot. And you can see, right, the first thing we want to do, we want to engage a subject matter expert to figure out how to tailor it, what we're going to do. Now we've identified with disparity study, how we're going to tailor it, what's moving forward. We have to implement the race and gender neutral measures. We talked about possibly doing a division, adding staff for business opportunity. We got to see how that's going to work. We're talking internally. Do we go third party for a while, get everything set up, and then implement that? That's what we're trying to figure out. Obviously, finally establishing and adopting the DBE program policy. And then the last one on the street, that's our end goal, to have this in there. But you got to realize it's going to take a long time to get the word out, to get the knowledge out, to get education done out there, both internally and externally. So, we have an eye toward, 24, 25 on, it's going to take a while. And I just want to temper everybody's expectations, but I know the chair is committed to this, staff are committed, and there's going to be more discussion moving forward.
Member Chaplin and then Member Rutledge.
Thanks so much, Madam Chair. Just one really quick question. In this study, were subcontractors included in this study?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Quick question as well. Thank you for your presentation, first of all, but you talked about that we need an officer, a department to monitor and hold accountable. Where does that fit in?
And that discussion has been happening and will be happening. No, that's part of our, as we engage a subject matter expert, figuring out how does it look? How is it structured? What is the best flow? So that's yet to be determined.
Okay, well, as you guys know, this is a priority of mine, and that is a discussion that we've had, and we will work through that, because I do think that's going to be very important to make sure that we do this right. So Colette, thank you for your work. It was invaluable.
Thank you very much.
Okay. At 1 p.m. today, we are gathering at the Judicial Office facility for a ribbon cutting and tours to view just some of the improvements made by the courthouse and the new Public Defender's Office, as DuPage County prepares for the Safety Act to take effect on September 18th. This board's support of the $19.8 million project will be completed on time and under budget. But more importantly, it sets our county up to have the space, resources, and physical ability to respond to the demands of these criminal justice reforms. I've been talking with Chief Justice Popejoy of the 18th Judicial Circuit, and he is justifiably proud of the collaboration between law enforcement, the jail, the state's attorney, public defender, probation, and court services. Together, we have prepared for this important change. I look forward to our ceremony and hope you can join us at 1 o'clock. Now we'll move on to public comment. On the matter of public comment, according to our county board rules, members of the public shall be afforded time to address the board. Individual remarks shall not exceed 3 minutes in length, nor shall the total time provided for all remarks exceed 30 minutes. Our first speaker is
Karen Rugg.
I think either your microphone's not on or you need to move it closer.
O'Harafield got about 0.70 rain and not even 3/4 inch. And I went there yesterday and filmed all the flooding. My husband noticed that Illinois state statutes 94.01, there's a statute about having standing stagnant water, that it breeds mosquitoes and diseases. This isn't yesterday's picture because my husband prints up all my pictures for me and he was busy. So this is an older one. And you can see the stagnant water and it's always there. Always there. It never goes away. That's where the cattails grow. And this is right up the hill from it, where it's never taken care of or cleaned, full of cans and cigarette butts and garbage. And next one in Itasca, the standing water. If anybody has ever been to St. Peter's in Itasca, the Catholic Church, right next to the school on North and Rush, they always have standing water there too, always. And you have a picture of that. And this is the same corner, just another angle. And this is where the children have to walk to school, but actually children don't walk that much to school anymore. This one, this is over by the medical building. Now this one is one of my neighbors, the neighbor to my west. If the DuPage County Forest Preserve would do something, this was a storm where the whole entire back was a lake. My problem was they put my garage and my driveway and my cars in the water, but they got hit with a lake at the back. And this is the same. Jim Zay's been here. Jim Zay knows this property very well. And the last picture I'm going to show you, I thought I had the state statutes. Did you guys get that sheet of the state statutes? I must have forgotten. This is what I thought would be so wonderful, because in this picture, it shows the medical building, the backward E, and it's right next to a forest, 1.2 acres of land. And if they bought that up, there's also a gentleman with an acre right next door, and a girl I went to school with. She has less than an acre now, I think. That would be 3 acres.
Ms. Rock, your 3 minutes is up.
And you could build a wonderful basin, just like you're doing for your drug rehab center right here behind us. You're building a basin so people don't flood out. Thank you.
Okay, the board has received public comment via our online portal. Per board policy, the comments were provided to board members yesterday so they could be reviewed, and comments submitted electronically will be included in the minutes of this meeting. On to the consent items. I seek a motion to approve the consent agenda items. Okay. A, 232997, DuPage County Board Minutes, regular meeting, Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. B, 232813, 8/18/2023 pay list. C, 232835, 8/22/2023 pay list. D, 232874, 8/25/2023 pay list. E, 232904, 8/29/2023 pay list. F, 23294991, 2023 pay list. G, 232973, 9/6/2023 Public Works refund pay list. H, 232945, change orders to various contracts as specified in the attached packet. I, 232979, County Clerk's Receipts and Disbursements Monthly Report, August 2023. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so moved. And on to Finance and Member Chaplain.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair. We do apologize for the delay this morning. We had a lot of important business to cover in finance. So with that, I would move approval of FICO 000723, recommendation for the approval of an amendment to purchase order 50130001 served for a contract issued to Corvell Corporation for third-party administrative services of workers' compensation and liability claims to increase contract amount of $40,000, resulting in an amended total contract amount of $325,343. Human Resources.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Justin. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatore. You.
Aye.
Zay. And Kale.
Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 019523, recommendation to establish an agreement between the County of DuPage and the Illinois Energy Conservation Authority, NFP, to provide property assessed clean energy administrative services for the period of October 1st, 2023 through September 31st, 2027, with no cost to the county.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 019623, approval of the use of ARPA funds for facilities management to make improvements to the building at 420 North County Farm Road in the amount of $50,000. ARPA item.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I'd like to move approval of FIR 019723, approval of the DuPage County Business Travel Expense Policy.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 019823, acceptance and appropriation of the Illinois State Opioid Response Criminal Justice Medication Assistance Treatment Integration Grant in the amount of $75,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 019923, acceptance and appropriation of the Adult Redeploy Illinois Program Grant intergovernmental agreement in the amount of $450,515.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020023, additional appropriation for the Building, Zoning, and Planning Fund accounting unit in the amount of $2,500,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020123, additional appropriation for the Housing Solutions Program Fund in the amount of $150,000.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplain.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020223, recommendation for the approval of a renewal of intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Village of Addison for the Addison Consolidated Dispatch Center to provide 211 service, the amount of $649,912.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020323, additional appropriation for the ILDCEO Community Service Block Grant, intergovernmental agreement going from $1,115,200 to $1,328,747, an increase of $213,547.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020423, acceptance and appropriation of additional funding for the Illinois Home Weatherization Assistance Program, HHS grant, in the amount of going from $881,832 to, that's what the increase is, okay, to $881,832,000, an increase of $78,432.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020523, acceptance of the extension of time and appropriation for the United States Treasury American Rescue Plan Act Long-Term Care Program Grant, extended through December 31st, 2023, the amount of $153,000.
Okay, we're going to need a roll call.
Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart,
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay, and Cahill.
Okay, great.
Member Chaplin.
Thank you. I move approval of FIR 020723, authorization of contract with the Policeman's Benevolent Labor Committee, Local 501C, for employees for DuPage County Sheriff Office expiring November 30th, 2025.
Leave is granted. Member Chaplin.
Thank you. And finally, I move approval of FIR 020823, budget transfers from September 12th, 2023, various companies and accounting units.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Chaplin.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have our Ad Hoc Committee for Housing Solutions, and that's Member Chaplin and Member Tornatori.
Yes, so on behalf of our ad hoc committee member Tornatori and myself, I would like to give an update that last month, Member Tornatori and I participated in a League of Women Voters affordable housing seminar. Member Tornatori really gave a great presentation with his experience on the Illinois Department of Housing Authority. So I think it was a very good seminar, and I think we had a good reception from the League of Women Voters. And I think with that, I will be, on behalf of our committee, I'll make a motion on AHR 00123, recommendation to approve HAR 00123, a resolution to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Grounded Solutions Network to participate in the For Every One Home program and provide the required match of $150,000.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Chaplin,
Aye.
Childress,
Yes.
Covert, Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay, and Cahill.
Okay, thank you, Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Animal Services and Member Krajewski. Well, I'm glad it was a thoughtful response.
Thank you, Sam.
Okay, on to development and Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move approval this morning of DCO 40-23, zoning 2341, to approve a variation to allow a proposed detached garage and an increase in fence height. CHO's recommendation.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Tornatori.
Aye.
You. Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress. Covert. Desart. Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. And Shorzy.
Okay, Member Tornatori.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of DCO 4123, zoning 2342, to approve a variation to allow a 6-foot closed privacy fence, both recommended by the zoning hearing officer and the development committee.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Move approval of
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Move approval of DCO 42-23, zoning 2344, approving a variation to reduce the corner side setback.
Leave is granted. Member
Thank
Tonatore.
you, Madam Chair. Move approval of DCO 4323, zoning 2347, variation to allow a 6-feet tall fence with in a 40 front yard setback.
Leave is granted. Member Tonatore.
Finally, Madam Chair, move approval of DCO 44-23, zoning 2349, a conditional use to allow a total detached accessory buildings area to be larger than the principal building.
Leave is granted.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Member Tonatore. Economic Development, Member LaPlante.
No committee report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Environmental and Member Rutledge.
Just a quick update, the trash hauler survey is on the street, and we've already exceeded the kind of base amount of responses that we had hoped. The overall opinion, a lot of this is people are in favor of this if it'll save them some money. I was pleased to see that many people talked about lower greenhouse gases, so that makes me happy as environmental chair. But I do have a couple items for your approval today. I move on item 23-2843. Authorization is requested to have one environmental and sustainability programs manager attend the annual Illinois County Solid Waste Management Association Conference in Utica, Illinois, from October 25 to the 26th. Expenses to include registration, transportation, and lodging for an approximate county cost of $375. This conference has sessions on waste and recycling and provides technical training for delegated county inspectors.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Aye. Tornatore. Aye. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart. Aye. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Aye. Garcia. Aye. Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. And Ozog.
Okay.
Thank
Member
you.
Rutledge.
Next, I'll move for 23-2845. Authorization is requested to have one environmental specialist attend the annual Illinois County Solid Waste Management Association Conference, same dates as the previous item. Expenses for registration, transportation, lodging. And I'm sorry, the conference has sessions on waste and recycling, and provides technical training for delegated county employees. Did I need to add a little in there? Okay, good.
Perfect. Okay, leave is granted. Thank you,
And that's
Member
all.
Rutledge. Thank you. Okay, Human Services and Member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as the report, I just want to remind this board that the DuPage Care Center Foundation's Fall Fest fundraiser is going on through the weekend. You all should have received an email, from Shauna Berman over at the Care Center. You can pre-order online or you can show up this weekend, and I know they have a table in the cafeteria until 1 o'clock today, so you can stop by and say that. But the funds raised from that go to improve the quality of life for the residents as well as recreational events and things like that. So with that, I will make the motion to approve item 23-2929 HSP 0029-823, an amendment to County Sub-Grantee Contract 62390001 serve issued to Teen Parent Connection through the fiscal year 23 Community Services Block Grant for the purchase of diapers, formula, car seats, and staffing time to assist low-income county residents to increase encumbrance in the amount of $10,000, resulting in a new contract total amount not to exceed $40,000, an increase of 33.3%, and this is CSBG funded.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Schwarzy.
Aye.
Tornatore. Aye. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Aye. Chaplin. Aye. Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart. Aye. Eckhoff. Aye. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Aye. Garcia. Aye. Guston. Aye. Krajewski. Aye. LaPlante. Aye. Ozog. Aye. And Rutledge.
Okay, Member Schwarzy.
Rutledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move on item 2932, a travel request for Senior Housing and Development Planner to attend the HUD Partnered Fall National Human Services Data Consortium Conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania from October 22nd through October 25th, 2023. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, miscellaneous expenses, and per diems for the approximate total of $2,203.73.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Schwarzy. Okay, Judicial and Public Safety, and Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move on item JPSP 006123, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Public Safety Direct, Inc. for upfitting and repairs of Sheriff's Office vehicles and monthly maintenance for the period of October 30th, 2023 through October 29th, 2024, for a contract total amount not to exceed $522,215.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatore. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart. And Echo.
Okay, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on JPSP 006223, recommendation for the approval of a contract to LDB Inc. for the purchase of an HDU response vehicle for the Sheriff's Office to provide such vehicle for safe, effective, and efficient on-scene operational needs to mitigate any potential hazards or explosive devices for a contract not to exceed $838,020.
Leave is granted. Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And finally, I'd like to move on JPSP 006323, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Insight Public Sector, Inc. for the purchase of tablets for patrol vehicles for the Sheriff's Office for a contract total amount not to exceed $602,805 per cooperative purchasing agreement pricing.
Okay, leave is granted. Thank you, Member Evans.
Thank you.
Okay, and we have the legislative update from Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On this morning's agenda, I ask for your favorable consideration of resolutions to renew our two state lobbying firms, Chip Humes of Roger Marquardt and Company, and Dave Sullivan and Mark Polis of Rauchi and Sullivan Strategies. I think you will agree that they have done an excellent job of keeping us informed throughout the year on state issues with regular written reports to the board and participation at our legislative committee meetings. They are accessible and have the relationships and possess the knowledge and experience necessary to advance our county priorities in Springfield. It's important to have a strong team in place who can react quickly to provide our delegation and other members of the General Assembly, leadership, and staff with the information they need to make a quick decision regarding a vote that could significantly impact DuPage County. For example, this past session, legislators supporting the puppy mill industry continually posted one-hour committee hearings and amendments in an effort to repeal the current statute we all worked so hard on the past several years. Our lobbyists acted quickly in these instances to defeat these attempts to repeal the legislation that could have easily passed absent their intervention. As the second largest county in Illinois, it is imperative that we stay in constant communication with our elected officials. Over the years, it has become evident that for a very minimal investment, $140,000 out of a county budget of $584 million, our taxpayers have greatly benefited from the work of our team to defeat proposals that diminish county revenues or county authority and advance county priorities. With 177 legislators, 118 House members, and 59 state senators and legislative staff, in addition to the governor's office, plus a number of state regulatory agencies, we need two lobbying firms to help provide the coverage we need across a vast array of policymakers at the state government level. During the year, our lobbyists also assist county staff to help resolve operational and grant issues with multiple state agencies, including IDOT, the EPA, the DNR, IDOR, DCEO, etc., and the governor's office. A summary of this year's legislative accomplishments include a one-year increase in the Local Government Distributive Fund, the LGDF, from 6.16% of state income tax proceeds to 6.47%, resulting in an additional $897,000 in revenues for DuPage County alone in state fiscal year 2024. an additional $400,000 in state capital dollars to support construction of the Health Department's Crisis Recovery Center, a $250,000 grant to the DuPage Care Center Foundation, a one-time state tourism grant for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau in the amount of $625,000 for fiscal year 2024. Secured the release of $10.2 million in capital funding for improvements to the Green Valley Treatment Plant in Woodridge. Assist with the passage of our state's attorney's animal cruelty and forfeiture bill, SB 1499, that provides penalties for specified offenses and permanent relinquishment of animals, in some cases as determined by the court. Supported the Illinois Humane Society to enact a number of animal protection bills, including HB 3236 that closed a loophole to prohibit the financing of dog and cat purchases, SB 1884 that places restrictions on dog and cat testing, and SB 1883 which prohibits direct contact by the public with wild animals. Continuing, they were part of a coalition to extend the sunset on the 911 Emergency Telephone System Act until 12/31/25 and renew the $1.50 per line wireless surcharge that funds ETSP. Supported a number of environmental proposals that were adopted, including HB 2086 that allows consumers to provide their own to-go containers, SB 40, which requires a new single-family home to have electric vehicle charging capability, SB 836, which establishes the Paint Stewardship Act, and SB 1555, which creates the statewide recycling needs assessment. That was a long speech, and I realize that was a long speech, but it goes to show you how valuable, incredibly valuable, our lobbyists have been to DuPage County. So Chair Conroy and I would appreciate your favorable support of these two contracts. With that, I move to approve LEG-R-0038-23, a recommendation for the approval of contract to Rauchi and Sullivan Strategies, LLC, to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and the state executive branch for the period of September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2024 for County Board for the contract total amount not to exceed $50,000.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Shorzy. Tornatore. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
And Covert.
Member Desart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next, I would like to move to approve LEG-R-0039-23, a recommendation for the approval of a contract to Roger C. Marquardt and Company, Inc., to provide consulting services as lobbyists representing DuPage County before the Illinois General Assembly and the State Executive Branch for the period of September 15th, 2023 through September 14th, 2024 for County Board for a contract total amount not to exceed $90,000.
Okay. Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Desart. Okay. Permission to leave. Okay. And Public Works and Member Garcia.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. For committee update, first of all, I just really want to thank the staff who have worked so quickly with myself and to try to find a spot on our campus to help the the senior DuPage County, thank you. Oh my gosh, long meeting. Find a spot for them so they can do the Meals for Wheels project, which will serve about 26,000 meals in the District 6 area, the Wheaton-Warrenville area. And so, you know, it was, an ask was made and staff worked, especially Tim Harbaugh, big thanks for him, and Nick Kottmeyer, for helping find an area that works perfectly for this, and so I'm looking forward to getting them in there as quickly as possible, and so that the meals can start going out. Also want to thank staff for really being forward in their energy efficient decisions that they're making here in Public Works. The item 17B, which is some turbocharged high-speed turbo blowers. I mean, they're going to have like an energy efficiency of, so like we'll get about 400,000 back in energy efficient in money due to the fact that they're so energy efficient. And we've got so many projects coming, and I'm going to give a full report, I think, at the next county board on how we are really working along with environmental committee to try to make some really changes here on our campus to really look forward in terms of being energy efficient in everything we do. So with that, I move for approval of PWP 004023, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Paladine Inc. to supply polymer to the Woodridge, Green Valley, and Knollwood wastewater treatment facilities for sludge dewatering and thickening for Public Works for the period of November 1st, 2023 to October 31st, 2024 for a total contract amount not to exceed $248,811.76.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Garcia.
Aye.
Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatore. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress. Yes. Covert. Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
And Galasi.
Okay, Member Garcia.
I move for approval of PWP 004123, recommendation for the approval of a contract to APG Neuros for 4 high-speed turbo blowers and 1 master control panel for the Woodridge Green Valley Treatment Plant for Woodridge Public Works for the period of September 12, 2023 to August 31st, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $790,000.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move for approval of PWP 004223, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Core and Main LP to deliver and furnish water meters on an as-needed basis for Public Works for the period of September 12th, 2023 to August 30th, 2027 for a total contract amount not to exceed $60,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
I move for approval of PWP 004323, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to H Turbo Inc. for repair service on an as-needed basis for the high-speed blowers at the Knollwood wastewater treatment facility for Public Works for the period of September 12th, 2023 to August 31st, 2027 for a total contract amount not to exceed $80,000.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Anybody say leave? There you go. Thank you. Okay. Motion for approval to FMP 007823, recommendation for approval of a contract to Commercial Mechanical Inc. to replace existing convectors, radiative heaters in the north building, resident shower, bath and laundry rooms, replace existing VAV controls, and replace existing corridor linear diffuser controls at the Care Center for Facilities Management for the period of September 12, 2023 through November 30, 2025 for a total contract amount not to exceed $407,100.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
Motion to approve FMP 007923, recommendation for the approval of a contract to SNI Solutions, Inc. to furnish and deliver de-icing solids, Eco Salt, for facilities management grounds for the period of November 1st, 2023 through October 31st, 2024 for a contract total amount not to exceed $75,000 per renewal option under bid 22099 FM.
Leave is granted. Member Garcia.
And I'm going to say this one slowly because I really messed up their name the first time. So I motion to approve recommendation for the approval of an agreement between the County of DuPage, Illinois and DuPage Senior Citizens Council for a lease of space at 420 North County Farm Road, Wheaton, Illinois for facilities management for a 15-month period from October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024 for an amount not to exceed $1,250.
Anybody? Thank you. Okay, leave is granted. And thank you, Member Garcia, for your proactive work, and especially on the Senior Citizens Council. Okay, stormwater, who's going to be giving? Okay, Member Eckhoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of SMP 64-23, recommendation for approval of a contract to Sierra Group, Inc. for on-call professional engineering services from December 1, 2023 through November 30th, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $65,000.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. Tornatori. You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress.
Yes.
Covert. And Desart.
Aye.
Okay, Member Eckhoff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move approval of SMR 73-23, amendment to Resolution SMR 397-22 for a grant agreement with the City of West Chicago for the Clank Road culvert replacement for an increase of $142,467.
Okay, leave is granted. Member Eckhoff.
Madam Chair, I'd move approval of SMR 74-23, amendment to Resolution SMR 348-22 for a grant agreement with the Village of Glendale Heights for the James Court and Pearl Avenue Drainage Improvement Project.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Eckhoff. We have strategic planning, and there's no report, I understand, today. So we have technology and Member you. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Member
Yes, I
Cahill.
know Member Covert's not here, but I just wanted to update everyone that under the direction of Barry Dunn, we held 3 community forums in Wheaton, Lyle, and Elmhurst. 4, okay, who was the 4th one? West Chicago, right. So Member you and I attended the Elmhurst Forum, and it was very well attended, and I thought it was a good conversation, a good start to where we need to go in strategic planning. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Member Cahill. Okay, and technology and Member you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have very good news. Last week, we learned that DuPage County won a nationwide communications competition, taking first place in the annual Savvy Awards for our new website. And to give you some perspective, this year, the competition through the City County Communications and Marketing Association received more than 875 entries from across the nation in 38 categories. The judges awarded DuPage County the first place prize in the category of overall website for a population higher than 100,000. Some of the judges' comments included the following, quote, "Excellent work, down to the smallest details like icon graphics. I was impressed with the use of design and function. I found the site easy to navigate, including the search function. The mobile site is just as user-friendly. This appears to be an easy-to-use website, and it's impressive that 80% of content can be accessed without scrolling. Gains were also clearly made in accessibility standards, and the website was clean, clear, and easy to use when you compare it to your old website as well. Kudos to you all," end quote. Thank you to the IT staff who put in many hours to bring our website vision to life, including Deb DC, Rhonda Breyer, Kevin Lynn, Tori Sauter, and Archana Balagani, and to the communication staff, including Evan Shields, who was the one who entered our website into the 3 CMA competition. So congratulations to everyone. So I do have 2 items to seek approval. Line item TEP 006323, I move for the recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Carasoft Technology Group for the procurement of Zoom licensing for both the county and the courts for IT. This contract covers the period of November 5, 2023 through November 4, 2026, with $36,407.12 being paid for by the Circuit Court and $41,574.18 being paid for by IT for a contract total amount of $78,044.30.
It has been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin. Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. LaPlante. Ozog. Rutledge. Schwarzy. And Tornatori.
And
Member
lastly,
you.
oh, thank you, Chair. And lastly, item TEP 006423, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to CDW Government, Inc. for the purchase of warranty, support, and yearly cleanings for the high-speed Kodak scanners for the state's attorneys and public defenders' offices paid for by IT. This contract covers the period of September 15, 2023 through September 15, 2026 for a contract total amount of $33,634.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member you.
Thank you, Madam.
Okay, and Transportation, Member Ozog.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Let's go. I move to combine items A, B, and C.
Okay. Roll call, please.
You could just do, actually, or just do them all.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I move to approve 232783, amendment to resolution DTP 008521 issued to ESI Consultants for professional engineering services for the 2021 pavement maintenance program to decrease the funding in the amount of $9,766.19 and close, resulting in a final county cost of $426,429.05, a decrease of 2.24%. I move for approval of DTR 0173A18, amendment to resolution DTR 017318 issued to Illinois State Toll Highway Authority for roadway and bridge rehabilitation along the Veterans Memorial Highway from Butterfield to Army Trail, to increase the funding in the amount of $80,826.88, resulting in a final county cost of $329,388.36, an increase of 32.52%. I move for approval of DTP 0136B22, amendment to resolution DTP 0136A22, issued to Pacific Construction Services LLC for the removal and replacement of the Division of Transportation's off-site maintenance facility, an accounting adjustment.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. Roll call, please.
Ozog.
Aye.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Tornatori.
Aye.
You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Member Ozog.
Thank you. I next move to combine items 21D through H.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, I move for approval of DTP 009223, recommendation for the approval of a contract to ML Utilities to furnish and deliver one Ford F-550 Super Cab for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $236,426. I move for approval of DTP 009323, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Mackey Consultants LLC for professional surveying services upon request of the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $100,000, vetted through qualification-based selection process. I move for approval of DTP 009423, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Thomas Engineering Group for professional surveying services upon request of the Division of Transportation, vetted through qualification-based selection process, contract total not to exceed $100,000. I move for approval of DTP 009523, recommendation for the approval of a contract to GSG Consultants for professional geotechnical and materials engineering service upon request of the Division of Transportation, contract total not to exceed $200,000, professional services vetted through a qualification-based selection process. And I move for approval of DTP 009623.
Second most favorable roll.
Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Sutton Ford to furnish and deliver two Ford F-550 crew cab chassis for the Division of Transportation for a contract total not to exceed $139,342. Contract pursuant to Governmental Joint Purchasing Act.
Okay, this is going to require a roll call, please.
Ozog.
Aye.
Rutledge.
Aye.
Schwarzy. Tornatori.
Aye.
You.
Aye.
Zay. Cahill. Chaplin.
Aye.
Childress.
Yes.
Covert. Desart.
Aye.
Eckhoff. Evans.
Aye.
Galassi. Garcia. Guston. Krajewski. And LaPlante.
Okay, Member Ozog.
Thank you. Next, I move for approval of DTR 008023, a resolution authorizing the execution of an intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the City of Wheaton for land transfers and future maintenance of the Illinois Prairie Path.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
I move for approval of item 232790, Director of Transportation County Engineer to travel to Moline, Illinois to attend the 2023 Fall Meeting of the Illinois Association of County Engineers
Second most favorable
from
roll.
October 4th, 2023 to October 6th, 2023. Expenses including registration, lodging, transportation, and meals. Estimated county cost $802.50.
Leave is granted. Member Ozog.
And I move for approval of 232881, Assistant County Engineer to travel to Champaign-Urbana to attend the
Second most favorable
2023 Illinois Traffic Engineering and Safety Conference from October 17th, 2023 through October 20th. Expenses include registration, lodging, transportation, and meals. Estimated county cost of $662.97.
Leave is granted. Thank you, Member Ozog.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any discussion on 23-2960? Seeing none. Any old business? Okay, Member Galassi and then Member Evans.
I just wanted to, this has been discussed before, especially in the Economic Development Committee, but I wanted to thank Lisa Shavak with WorkNet DuPage. I had brought the idea at an economic development meeting back in February, March about having a program to help moms or people who have been staying home taking care of elderly get back to the workforce, because I know we are in a workforce shortage in DuPage, so this is kind of a dual purpose to help the people trying to find jobs as well as boost our workforce, and they've done a wonderful job. The first of the seminars, there's 3 starting this Friday, current trends in resume writing, and then the following Friday is job search in the digital world, and the Friday after that is interviewing and negotiating. And their goal was to have 75 people sign up, and it was quickly filled. So we're very excited about these programs. So thank you to Lisa Shavak and her team.
Okay, Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While it's still fresh in our mind, I would like to maybe have a discussion about the small nonprofit grant program. I loved all the work that we did, and I hope we bring it back next year, but I'm wondering if we can establish a process of improvement. I think, we need to close the chapter on this year, but if there's an actual process of improvement, I know we were talking about, Chair Schwarzy was talking about improving the actual application process. But I did think it was very onerous on staff and the state's attorney's office, and I'm wondering if there's maybe a better way, or if there's opportunity to use maybe the DuPage Foundation to handle some of the heavy lifting. But I just wanted to open up that discussion while we're still it's still fresh in our minds.
Right. So this is a new program that we've done, and it is definitely being discussed. Member Schwarzy wanted to.
Yeah, I was just going to say the initial process is we work with finance, so we worked with the chair of finance and the vice chair of finance, along with myself and the vice chair of human services, working with staff from community services, state's attorney, and finance. So I appreciate your concern. We'll probably sort of reconvene this group and discuss the pluses and minuses and make a recommendation to this board on how we want to proceed further. So thank you.
Okay, Member Ozog, then Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that this is going to be discussed further, because my impression was that it is pretty onerous, especially on the state's attorney's office. But for instance, I believe they're still now going to be in the process of the forms that are necessary in order to give the grants, et cetera. So it seems that we may want to talk about more of a centralized situation, or perhaps an outsourcing or some other mechanism. I love the idea, but I just think the execution was challenging. Thank you.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair Conroy. My comment this morning is regarding public comment. I know that we as a board had decided that we would only take online public comment, enter it into the record. But really what is moving me to ask about this morning is that we had some really long presentations as part of the chair reports this morning. So what I'm asking is to move public comment in front of chair reports so that people are taking time out of their busy lives to come here and give us comment, that they don't have to sit through an hour-long presentation in order to be able to give that public comment.
Just to give context, the current county board rules indicate the direction of how the agenda is set up. So under the current procedure, that's where public comment resides, but it does it falls with the finance committee for rules. So I'll defer to the chair of finance, but I'll wait your direction.
If I may, I'll be happy to, we can put that on the agenda for finance the next meeting and have the order of the agenda rearranged. Thank you.
Okay. We have Member Krajewski and then Member Guston.
Says we're going to go to the small grants. This really isn't really a new program. I mean, this county has been doing this. I think Chairman Schillerstrom put it in before 2010, and I joined the committee, and they were giving out $1 million grants from 2009, 10 through 2019. I think we may have cut it to $500,000, and it was general fund dollars. And I got the 2019 one out here, And there was many, many, many of the same ones that we did this year, services. And I'm not sure where the conflicts came into, because we've been doing this program for many years, and there's all kinds of, some of the same ones we did, but all the same services. So I think that, we need to either look at, either we didn't do it right back then, or we spent an awful lot of time this time. Because ones that were not allowed, we clearly did them in 17, 16, 18, 25, $50,000, $30,000 grants. So again, I think we need to really understand. The reason we went to the general fund dollars was because we had done that program for 10 years and gave multiple different entities, not-for-profits, money. And so then it's all of a sudden it seemed more restrictive this time around.
Okay, Member Guston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I actually think the Human Services Committee did a great job. I think it was more that the board members, the district members, needed to kind of tap into those not-for-profits that didn't know exactly how to apply, what they were applying for, because they're so small. And so as long as the committee has some flexibility, that it's not like etched in stone, where we can kind of pivot if we see an organization that didn't quite have everything lined up, like maybe more of a professional organization that knows how to write for grant money. I think it's a good process. I think it's a great program. It's helping a lot of those smaller organizations that really don't even know how to write a grant, let alone know that the grants are out there. So I do support the program. District 5, we had 3 organizations that weren't necessarily supported by staff, but in talking with a couple of them, it was like, I personally looked at it and said, they just didn't know how to write the grant. Now, they may not get money this year, but next year, definitely want them to come back and try again. So that's kind of where that is for me. I think it's a great program. It's been around for a while, it sounds like, so I think we should just keep it going, but yet let the board members engage with those organizations, and also let staff do whatever they're doing on their end and come to the middle. The other one is the disparity study, and the only thing I wanted to ask staff on that is there a possibility of an environmental conduit? I know at the city a lot of times when they're doing roads, it may be an asphalt plant, but then there are other types of materials like recycled plastics and things like that, that a lot of these businesses can use. They may cost more, but that product may last longer when we're doing the roads. So if there's some environmental kind of checkbox that they do have, or that they might in the future.
As part of the process, what we'll do is we'll work with the state's attorney and with our advisor, and then we'll get back to you on that one, but we'll look into it.
Okay, great, thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Member Schwarzy.
Thank you. Real quick, can I ask if there's any other questions about the Small Human Services Grant? Because I want to close with a comment, so seeing none. Okay, so just a couple comments. First of all, this program was done in the past, but it was done differently. Community Services handled all the applications. Community Services handled determining which, entities were eligible and so forth and so on. So, and as we've seen with our finance and our ASA, the time consumption is just incredible, and right now Community Services doesn't have the staff to handle this project. Finance does, because we have extra staff that are paid by ARPA, and I think they're only here for a couple more years, so we do have this opportunity, and I don't want to downplay the hard work they spent, but we have those extra staff because of the ARPA money. So those are a little bit of the differences from previous. As far as the problems with eligibility and applications, we will fix that. We will work to fix that. I like the fact that our finance chair and vice chair and our human services chair and vice chair, along with staff, sort of put the parameters in there, and we brought it to this board, and the board voted for it. So we can make those changes as needed, but we'll have those discussions. We'll bring it back to this board, and we'll see how you guys want to proceed. So thank you.
Okay. Any new business? Okay. I'm informed we do not have matters before us requiring an executive session. I will take a motion to adjourn. Okay, all in favor? Okay, this meeting is adjourned until Tuesday, September 26, 2023 at 10 a.m.